Okay, so today's video, the covering cherub. Thou art the anointed cherub that covereth. But before we start this, in my evil angel series, I will work out of the book of Enoch. I'll work out of the book of fallen angels. I'll work out of the book of Jasher, and along, of course, with the King James Bible. But because a lot of the story of the angels, and I also work out of the book of Second Esdras. So and that's the only one. All of my Bible study series, I won't be working out of any of those books, but I am going to pull from books that were one time in our King in the Canon. This is that simple. They were pulled because the whole angel agenda was not to be known. And so I'm just going to expose it for what it is. So these books that were pulled out of the Bible, they're real, they're true, they're inspired, they're anointed, and I'm going to expose some of it. So let's start before we get to the covering cherub and my thoughts on that. Let's turn to the book of Enoch, 18:14. The angel said, "This place is the end of heaven and earth." Okay, let me give you a little background here. When it says the angel said, Enoch is being taken around, the story of Enoch, he's being taken around and he's being shown, and what he's being shown to him, there is one of God's holy angels telling him. Okay. The angel said, "This place is the end of heaven and earth. This has become a prison for the stars and the host of heaven." So if you understand, angels are also called stars and they're called host. So, and most of the time throughout any of the books, they're going to be referred to more times than not as stars and host, and they'll be referred to as angels. Stars, this has become a prison for the stars and the host of heaven. And the verse 15, "And the stars which roll over the fire are they which have transgressed the commandments of the Lord in the beginning of their arising, because they did not come forth at their appointed time. And he was wroth with them and bound them till the time that their guilt shall be consummated, even for 10,000 years. Okay, so let's go to Ezekiel 28. We find that Satan was at one time on the mountain of God, and he started trafficking. He trafficked the angels. Okay, so let's start in verse 13. So Ezekiel 28:13. "Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was thy covering, the sardius, the topaz, and the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle, and the gold, the workmanship of thy tabrets and thy pipes." So Satan isn't just any angel. He's a chief prince. He's an archangel. He's a cherub that covereth. Okay, there's only one cherub that covereth. But look here, his body is also the orchestra of heaven. Thy tabrets, that's like tambourines, and thy pipes, that's the organs. Satan himself is the heavenly choir. He's the choir master. He's the music of heaven. Why do you think our music is so, the lyrics of our music is so evil and wicked? Starting with the Beatles. Just look at the lyrics of the Beatles. Look at the lyrics of the song Imagine. Yeah. Okay, so of thy tabrets and of thy pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou wast created. Okay, so this is Father God's first creation. He created the musical instrument and the cherub that covereth. That's over God's head. This is God's right-hand man. This is before Jesus, of course. All right, this is his first son, because angels are known as sons of God. But this guy's over our Father's head. He's really special. Now you understand the war that we're in. Verse 14, "Thou art the anointed cherub that covereth, and I have set thee. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of God, and thou hast walked up and down I want you to take note here. He's walked up and down. He wasn't crawling on his belly. Thou hast walked. He's an upright figure. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. This is a supernatural being that can walk up and down of the stones of fire. That's going to become important when we start getting to the blue blood scorpion race line of the molten ore, the brass, the copper. I hope you're putting that 2 and 2 together, but we'll get to that in another video. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. Thou wast perfect in thy ways from the day that thou wast created, till iniquity was found in thee. He started trafficking. By the multitude of thy merchandise, they have filled the midst of thee with violence. And thou hast sent, I think right here, some people can interpret why we talk about a third of the angels, the midst. You could see how the midst could be 1/3. But actually, guys, never does it say 1/3 of the angels went with Satan. All it ever says in the Bible, if you really look at that 1/3, in Revelation 12, the dragon's tail took out 1/3 of the stars. So we do know stars are angels. And the dragon's tail took out 1/3 of the stars. But I think here it's easy for one's mind to read this. By the multitude of thy merchandise, they have filled the midst. I think it's easy right there to interpret 1/3. Either way, that's what's commonly known as 1/3 of the angels. I'm just wanting to point out, nowhere does it say that. It says the dragon's tail swooped out 1/3 of the stars. Of thee with violence, and thou hast sinned. Therefore I will cast thee as profane out of the mountain of God. And I will destroy thee, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. Thine heart was lifted up, and because of thy beauty, thou hast corrupted thy wisdom by reason of thy brightness. See how proud and beautiful he was? I will cast thee to the ground. I will lay thee before kings, that they may behold thee. Thou hast defiled thy sanctuaries by the multitude, and thy iniquities by the iniquity of thy traffic. Angel trafficking. I know that sounds odd to you, but that's what's happening here. He first trafficked angels, and now they're trafficking humans. Okay, this started from the get-go. There's been trafficking. By the iniquity of thy traffic, therefore, I will bring forth a fire from the midst of thee. It shall devour thee, and I will bring thee to ashes upon the earth in the sight of all them that behold thee. All they that know thee among the people shall be astonished at thee. Thou shalt be a terror, and never shalt thou be any more. So, we know Satan is a cherub here, and the cherub is best explained in Ezekiel 1. Okay? Now, I encourage you to read all of Ezekiel 1, but what I'm going to do right here is go to Ezekiel 1:10. I encourage you to read all of Ezekiel, period, like I said in other videos. When it comes to this kind of information about, because we're at the end of times, if you want to really understand it better, read Daniel, read Ezekiel, and then read Revelation. And maybe through the three, you can get a better summary, right? A better picture. But let's go to Ezekiel 1:10. As for the likeness of their faces, they four had the face of a man, face of a lion. They had the face of an ox, and they also had the face of an eagle. So, what here? I'm going to stop right here and just give you my thoughts on this. What's God showing us here? God's showing us that in his kingdom, when we go to the new heaven and the new earth, please read about that in Revelation 21. And as you get towards the end of 21, you'll see that the new heavens and the new earth doesn't have any sun or moon or nighttime. There's no night. But what it's saying here is that there will be man, eagle, birds of the air. The ox is a representation of the domesticated animal, and the lion is the wild kingdom. So what's missing there? The reptile kingdom is missing. So I believe that the cherub that covered the head of God was the reptile cherub. That would no longer be, because we're very clear in Ezekiel 28 what's going to happen. Satan and the angels that followed him are going to be in a lake of fire. We do know in Revelation that Satan will be released for a short time, and then he'll be in the eternal, abyss. So it makes more sense that Satan was cast down as a dragon. He now looks like a dragon. He's a sea monster that we read about way back in Genesis 1. When you look up the number for whales, that number means sea monster or land monster, jackal, sea dragon, dinosaur, and dinosaur means terrible lizard, dinosaur, snake, venomous snake. So instead of him being this bright, beautiful, musical instrument cherub of the reptile kingdom, because after all, the snake was the most cunning of the field, right? That's how he beguiled Eve, and it says that he's the most cunning of the field. He's the smartest, and he knows how to deceive better than anybody else. He trafficked the angels, he figured that out. And then later, he goes into the garden, and then now all of us humans have fallen because of that. We're all down here in this satanic war. And God's showing us that in his kingdom to come, the new heavens and the new earth, the reptile kingdom won't be there. So it makes sense now if you understand this war, and it's called in Revelation, the sea monster with the 7 heads. Or what about in Job, the Leviathan? So this will never happen again. We're caught in a simulation, and at some point we're going to get a white robe. We're going to spiritually mature, get our white robe, and get out of this matrix. Do you know the Hebrew meaning of womb is matrix? So we get birthed into this virtual reality, this video game that Satan has created for us. And we just keep buying the lie over and over. We just don't spiritually mature. We get caught up in the course of this world. And we get possessed and we don't even know it. Okay, so that's my thoughts on the covering cherub. God loves you, and his holy angels have charge over you.